always unmuted.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first service of 2022. We're so glad that you're here with us this morning. Our chalice lightings words this morning are from Gordon B. McKeeman. And if you have a chalice at home you would like to light along with us this morning, you are invited. Dennis will light our chalice while I say the words. Deep calls unto deep. Joy calls unto joy. Light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of love, of peace, of hope. And as one flame lights another, nor grows the less, we pledge ourselves to be bearers of the light wherever we are. Our call to worship this morning is by Kate Lohr. It's called As a New Year Begins. Great Spirit of life, as a new year begins, we turn inward to reflect about the state of our lives. What lessons have we learned in the past year, and which new ones now call us forward? To whom do we still owe an apology or an expression of thanks? And with whom must we draw fresh boundaries? As we pause from our regular rhythms of rush, 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 we open ourselves to new perspectives and possibilities. We give thanks for these moments and for the wisdom they afford us. May they help bring us together in the sacred dynamics of life, so that we as individuals and as members of this community might reach our full potential. As we step across this threshold, let this new year be a year of greater awe and gratitude, of deeper kindness and acceptance, and more courageous acts of conviction. For a kinder, more equitable, and sustainable world is not only possible, she is on her way. And in the quietness of this sacred community, we can ever hear her breathing. Come, let us worship together. You're invited to join in singing hymn number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Our story this morning is called Wolber by Leslie Helikowski. We can't see pictures. All right. Wolber had a little trouble with the herd today, said Ma. What happened? Said Pa. I don't want to stand still with the sheep, said Wolber. I ran with the dogs instead. But those dogs are half wild, said Pa. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? They'll run circles around you, said Ma. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Don't worry, said Grandpa. But Ma and Pa pulled their wool all night long. Wilbur had a little trouble with the shearing barn today, said Ma. What happened, said Pa. I don't want to shear my wool, said Wilbur. Being woolly feels nice. But it's springtime, said Pa. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Your wool is so long, said Ma. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Don't worry, said Grandpa. But Ma and Pa pulled their wool all night long. Wilbur had a little trouble carding wool today, said Ma. What happened? Asked Pa. I carded my own wool, said Wilbur. No more tangles. All right, I'm going to take away my background and let you see this picture because this is amazing. Okay. You see Wilbur? But sheep don't card the wool of their bodies, said Pa. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? You look so different, said Ma. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Don't worry, said Grandpa. But Ma and Pa, yeah, they pulled their wool all night long. Wilbur had a little trouble spinning today, said Ma. What happened? Asked Pa. I rode around on the spinning wheel, said Wilbur. It was fun. But spinning is not supposed to be fun, said Pa. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Your yarn is all loopy, said Ma. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Don't worry, said Grandpa. But Ma and Pa pulled on their wool all night long. Oh, Wilbur had a little trouble dyeing wool today, said Ma. What happened? Asked Pa. Instead of dyeing yarn, I dyed myself, said Wilbur. I like experimenting. You look unbelievable, said Pa. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? It will never wash out, said Ma. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Don't worry, said Grandpa. But Ma and Pa, yep, they pulled on their wool all night long. Oh dear, Wilbur had a little trouble weaving today, said Ma. What happened now, said Pa. I put my head in the loom, said Wilbur, to weave my forelock. But that's not what you were shown, said Pa. Here's Wilbur. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? It's unheard of, said Ma. I know, said Wilbur. Isn't it great? Don't worry, said Grandpa. But Ma and Pa pulled their wool all night long. I don't know if you can see this detail, but there is Ma and Pa with their wool trailing on the floor. They've pulled it so long. Finally, Ma and Pa took Wilbur aside and said, "You must follow the flock, dear. It is what we sheep do. From now on, you will stay with the herd like everyone else. You will shear wool like everyone else. You will card wool like everyone else. You will spin wool like everyone else. You will dye wool like everyone else, and you will weave wool like everyone else." Oh, said Wilbur. He thought and thought all night long. And from then on, he taught everyone to run with the dogs, to let their wool grow, to card their own wool, to spin crazy yarn, to experiment with color, and to weave their forelocks. Ma and Pa put their heads in their hooves and sighed. "Wilbur does not think like we do," said Ma. "I know," said Pa. Now everyone looks like Wilbur and acts like Wilbur, said Ma. I know, said Pa. How will we ever find him? Don't worry, said Grandpa. And there he is. We're not hearing it, Dennis.
Because I was on mute. Let me start that over.
Dennis, we still can't hear it. I think what you need to do is when you share your screen, there's two little boxes at the bottom you need to check.
Let's try
Thank
this
you.
one more time.
Yep.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, it will be in a valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shall not be ashamed. To turn, turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, it will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shall not be ashamed.
So here we are again in the month of January with its talk of daring resolutions and demanding calls to become better. It's hard to resist. After all, who of us couldn't benefit from a bit of self-improvement? And most of us gladly go along and declare, this is the year I'm finally going to be a better me. But are we sure that's what we really want? There is, after all, a big difference between becoming better and becoming ourselves. Self-improvement is not the same as self-alignment. Katie Covey, Soul Matters Director of RE Resources, said, here is what I've discovered. Intention is different from setting goals or resolutions in that it pulls us into who we truly are. Goals and resolutions push us out into future possibilities. To set intentions, we must listen to our inner voice, which tells us who we really are. When you hear that quote about being pulled in rather than pushed out, what happens in your heart? Is being pushed what you really want and need? Are you really excited about the New Year's work of striving to create a brand new you? Or do you suddenly notice an internal whisper that says, I long to be pulled in more deeply to the self I already am? In other words, maybe our real New Year's work is not about self-improvement, but about pausing, stepping back, and asking, what hunger is in my heart? Another way to ask this is, how can I find out who I really am? Will we be Ma or Pa and worry about what the other sheep are thinking about what we have been taught we should be like? Or will we be more like Wilbur and try things until we find what brings us joy, what makes us alive, what makes everyday life worth living? Does this feel a little bit scary and risky to you? It feels to me a little bit like if I just let go and become who I really am, number one, I don't feel like I'm really good enough. Somewhere deep in my heart, I still worry that I'm not really good enough. And the other thing is, I am afraid that others won't like me. I'm afraid that I won't do what I'm supposed to do. And yet, here I am, almost 70. And so far, I've done the things I really had to do because here I am. And you're all in the same boat. We're all here. In fact, when you think about the difference between being pushed and being guided along your natural path, it makes me remember the movie that I watched on Christmas Day about Temple Grandin. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is a remarkable woman who is on the autism spectrum. And because she was neuroatypical, she could see things a little bit differently. And she was working with a stockyard and realized that she could empathize with those cows. As they started being driven toward the slaughtering yard, they were full of fear and they would They would jump around, they would injure themselves and each other. They had to go through a dip and, a water to keep pests off their coats. And some of them would drown because they were so afraid. And she said, we can do better than this. She was watching these cows, and after they were frightened, what did they do? They started walking in big spiraling circles. It calmed them down. And she said, what if the path to these places that they have to go for the water bath, or when it's time for them to be turned into our dinner, what if it was as kind to the cows as possible? What if it worked with their natures? And so she built a curving chute that would guide the cows along. It took up quite a bit of space. It was definitely a longer path from where they were held into the slaughterhouse than they had before. And the cowboys who were in charge of getting them where they were supposed to go said, no way, this is going to take too long. And they started driving them again in a straight line. And Temple said, try it, really try it. Let them do what comes naturally and see what happens. And sure enough, when the cows were let into this curved chute that gradually narrowed down to where one of them at a time would go into whatever it was that they had to face next. These cows were not afraid. They just walked. It was curved. It was comforting. I understand I'm talking about cows walking to the slaughter. And I'm not saying we're walking to the slaughter, but sometimes it feels that way, right? What we might be facing tomorrow feels just as scary to us, I think, sometimes. The point I'm making is that if we go with our natures, very often things work better. Things work more quickly and swiftly than if we try to push things in a straight line. So when we think about the word resolution, it can mean firmness, decisiveness, solving a problem. But it also can mean the process of reducing or separating something into its components. It can mean the conversion of something abstract into a different form, such as the gradual resolution of an uncertain feeling into a named emotion. In other words, clarity by looking at something anew, understanding it better, getting it in better resolution. What if this year we use this idea of clarity or insight as our meaning of New Year's resolution? Instead of deciding what we should do this coming year, what if we see ourselves and our lives through a lens or paradigm that's based on who we really are and that works with us just as we are? As part of Buddhism's Eightfold Path, the idea of right intention is a commitment to cause no harm and treat yourself and others with loving kindness and compassion while seeking true happiness. That which comes from being free from grasping or clinging. And so for Buddhists, right intention is not a specific task or a goal, but rather a way of being in the present. It's the ground on which one is instructed to walk. A ground of ever guiding, ever present, continual aspiration. Philip Moffat says, with goals, the future is always the focus. Are you going to reach that goal? Are you going to be happy when you do? What's next? Setting intention, at least according to Buddhist teachings, is quite different than goal making. It's not oriented toward a future outcome. Instead, it is a path or practice that is focused on how you are being in the present moment. Your attention is on the ever-present now in the constantly changing flow of life. You set your intentions based on understanding what matters most to you and make a commitment to align your worldly actions with your inner values. Goals help you make your place in the world and be an effective person. But being grounded in intention is what provides integrity and unity in your life. What would it be like if you didn't measure the success of your life just by what you get or don't get, or produce or don't produce, but gave equal or greater priority to how aligned you are with your deepest values? What if, instead of trying to improve ourselves, we decided that this year just showing up for ourselves and for others is enough? And I have, oh, beg your pardon. In her article, In Praise of Good Enough New Year's Resolutions, Brittany Wong says, in 2022, let's all resolve to make our resolutions shamelessly easy. Leah Rockwell, a licensed professional counselor in Pennsylvania and Maryland, agrees. If ever there's a year to focus on less being more, this might be the one. She told Huffington Post, in uncertain times, anything that we can do to create more ease and room for joyful possibility, the better. Even if this means setting very basic, tiny goals. One baby step forward is still progress. After 2 years of pandemic living, choosing a resolution that's not only achievable, but capable of making your life better is a win-win. If you don't have the bandwidth to aim big, that's okay. Drinking more water and flossing daily are valid goals. Mrs. Wong concludes, I want my New Year's resolution to be centered around taking care of my body on a most basic level. I'll start with that and go from there. Performance artist Natalie Patterson, in her spoken word poem Resolutions, explores what this might mean for her. And Dennis, can you play this for us, please?
It's rare that I make resolutions. Don't want them to haunt me in the dead of night each day, guilted by all the things I said I would or would not do. I only do what I want, when I want, with a full heart or not at all, and the rest will have to settle somewhere between my lips and my intentions. I do not promise often, but there comes a day when I am more than wild woman, more than what I've accomplished or seek to, and as that day approaches, I promise to remember how to love. In the face of hurt in my heart, I will love you, foolishly at times, but brave. I promise to forgive, to ignite the soft of me, and to surrender to that everything ain't gonna grow like I grow, ain't gonna know what I know, how I know, and that is okay. There is still love in separation, still love in letting go. I promise to love myself, to honor this girl with dreams she can't stomach yet, but she tries hard to. In the morning, I will pray to a God I hope to be more like, and she will laugh, knowing I have already forgotten that she loves me unconditionally, just a silly girl wanting more and more and more, but already having everything I need. I promise to laugh hardest when life is most challenging. I promise to tell strangers that they are beautiful because they probably haven't heard it in too long. I promise to dance across the floor when I'm excited. I promise to be excited, to sit with my mother, to remind her that she makes amazing things, to listen to my elders, to honor the repetition in their stories, to watch intently as my nephew and niece blossom. I promise to call my sister, to love her because she grows our family when I might not, and none of this comes easy. None of it will be overnight. I might be scared and stubborn at first, and when I am, I promise to lean into it, to let life make a masterpiece of me, to say everything that needs to be said in a moment and trust that I am prepared. I promise to listen to the way God moves. I promise to be moved, to not stop noticing the details in the day, the way you hesitate before speaking or the nervous girl at the table next to me. I promise to never stop picking up on energy or feeling responsible for humanity. I promise to let this fire rage, to drink more water and carry this skin like a gift. I promise to breathe on purpose and fall in love without fear. I promise, I promise, I promise.
I promise, I promise, I promise. These are words of intention. As Reverend Julie Stoneberg says, we could dissect this poem and find Natalie Patterson's individual goals: to spend time with her mother, to call her sister, to drink more water, too many to keep track of. But that's not the point. Taken as a whole, the poem sets an intention. The poet is calling herself toward a way of being, to bravely and foolishly love in the face of hurt, to lean into life and to let life make a masterpiece of her, to surrender, to listen to the way God moves. Patterson spreads a field of intention before her and above her and below her feet, a field seeded with intentions. So, what seeds do you want to sow in your field of intention? What is it that pulls you toward your truest self and guides you toward your deepest sense of purpose? Can you name those things? Once named, how will you keep them in your heart and in front of your mind? How will you use them to live true? So this month, maybe our most meaningful work is to make room. All around us this month, there is going to be tons of talk about creating goals and imagining who we might become. But living with intention seems to be more about creating a quiet space that allows us to connect with who we already are. A space that protects us from the pressure to accomplish and instead makes room to ask questions of integrity. Questions like, what does my body need? What is my heart calling me to do? How can I show up for myself and others today? When should I say no? Do I need help with something? And if we're able to carve out that quieter space, perhaps in your own self-care chair, then maybe we'll discover that this isn't the year of finally becoming a better me. Maybe we'll decide it's enough to simply finally be me. You are enough, my friends. You are enough. Amen, aho, and blessed be. During the month of January, half of our offerings will go to Abby's house. Please give generously as you are able to support our UU ministry and work in the world. Donation information is in the chat as we enjoy this offertory from Olga. Our closing today is adapted from the words of Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, or our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues until we are together again, friends. Be strong, be well, be true, be loving, be your amazing individual selves, holy and whole and infinitely loved. May it be so. Go in peace.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you've turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Sean's parents' house.
My parents.
Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
What did we know?
What did we know?
What
What did we know? We thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot. Woo! Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on,